A tremor runs down the spine of history. A man who vanished into the sky, without a body, without a trace. Even the stolen money disappeared. Was this an escape, or a tale that deceived the world for 50 years? Can it even be called an escape? Has it made you doubt as well? I'm talking about the greatest lie in history or the most ingenious crime of the century? The answer is hidden somewhere in this video.
On November 24, 1971, a middle-aged man with a briefcase entered Portland International Airport and purchased a one-way ticket to Seattle, Washington. The man introduced himself as Dan Cooper and boarded Northwest Airlines Flight 305. The plane had 36 passengers and 6 crew members. Cooper sat in the last row of the cabin, in the middle seat on the right side. After a few minutes, he ordered a drink, sipped it calmly, and then lit a cigarette. He took a note from his pocket and handed it to 23-year-old flight attendant Florence Schaffner. Thinking the man was just joking with her, Florence ignored the note and put it in her pocket. Then Cooper said to her, "Miss, you'd better read that note, because I have a bomb." Florence turned pale upon hearing this. She looked at the note and saw that it read, "I have a bomb. If you don't follow my orders, I will blow up the plane." Schaffner approached him and confirmed that there was indeed a bomb inside the briefcase. Cooper stated his demands: $200,000 in cash and for parachutes. He also requested that a fuel truck be prepared in Seattle so the airplane could refuel for another flight. Cooper threatened to detonate the bomb if his demands were not met. Schaffner went to the cockpit and relayed Cooper's demands to the pilots. The pilots contacted air traffic control and reported the situation. The Federal Bureau of Investigation stepped in to handle the crisis and agreed to all of Cooper's demands. They prepared for parachutes and $200,000 in cash with recorded serial numbers, hoping they could later track Cooper through the bills. At 5:45 in the afternoon, the airplane landed in Seattle. The money and parachutes were handed over to Cooper by the flight attendants, along with instructions on how to use the parachutes. However, Cooper said, "I do not need these things." Cooper allowed the 2 flight attendants and all passengers to exit the aircraft, though they remained unaware the plane had been hijacked. He then issued new instructions. The plane must fly toward Mexico City, maintain altitude below 10,000 feet, keep speed no higher than 320 kilometers per hour, leave cabin lights off, and set wing flaps at 15 degrees. The pilots informed him these flight parameters made a direct trip to Mexico City impossible due to insufficient fuel. Eventually, Cooper and the pilots agreed to land in Reno, Nevada. The plane remained grounded for about 2 hours due to refueling difficulties before taking off again at 7:36 post-meridian. The weather was dark and rainy, with 2 military jets monitoring the aircraft. Less than 20 minutes after takeoff, Cooper asked flight attendant Mark Rowe how to open the rear staircase, then ordered, "Go to the cockpit and lock the door." Flight attendant Mabel Lowe complied, entering the cockpit and securing the door. Cooper strapped on the parachute and jumped through the rear staircase into the dark night. Approximately 3 hours later, Flight 305 landed safely in Reno with no trace of Cooper or the bomb. Investigators found the rear staircase had been opened and was damaged during landing. Cooper had exited somewhere between Seattle and Reno. Federal Bureau of Investigation agents immediately boarded and discovered a black necktie, 8 cigarette butts, and 2 parachutes. Based on witness descriptions, they created their first composite sketch: a Caucasian male aged 35 to 40, about 180 centimeters tall, with brown eyes, dark hair, wearing a black suit with white shirt and sunglasses. Before the search operation could begin, the Federal Bureau of Investigation needed to determine the exact time of Cooper's jump, but this proved difficult. None of the 4 flight crew members had witnessed his jump, and the 2 escort fighter jets also reported seeing nothing due to the darkness. The crew stated they had last seen Cooper between 8 o'clock post-meridium and 8:05 post-meridium, and within the next 10 minutes, they felt vibrations and cabin pressure changes caused by the opening of the stairway and his jump. The Federal Bureau of Investigation employed professional skydivers to recreate the jump scenario. By simulating the flight conditions, they attempted to estimate Cooper's probable landing area. The jump time was estimated, and based on the flight path, investigators deduced that Cooper had likely parachuted out approximately 40 kilometers north of Portland. At sunrise, the Federal Bureau of Investigation launched an extensive search operation in the area using ground teams and air support. The search area consisted of vast mountainous terrain and dense forests, making finding Cooper akin to searching for a needle in a haystack. Despite thorough searches, no trace of Cooper or his belongings was found. When physical searches yielded no results, the Federal Bureau of Investigation attempted to track Cooper through the ransom money. The $200,000 given to Cooper had been provided by the First National Bank of Seattle, and all the serial numbers of the bills had been recorded. The complete list of serial numbers was distributed among banks, businesses, and the general public, with a reward offered for their recovery. However, for nearly 10 years, no leads on the money emerged. Then, in 1980, a teenager named Brian, while building a campfire in the woods, discovered 3 bundles of money totaling $5,880, partially buried in the sand along the Columbia River in southwestern Washington. His family, familiar with the hijacking case, turned the worn-out bills over to the authorities. Forensic examinations confirmed that the serial numbers matched the ransom money given to Cooper. The strange thing was how the 3 bundles of money were found in a separate location. Moreover, the plastic straps used to bind the money were completely intact, whereas they should have decomposed if exposed to moisture and open air for more than a year. This raises the question, did Cooper himself hide the money there, or did someone else do it? The police thoroughly searched the area, but found no trace of Cooper or the rest of the money. This was the only clue and evidence obtained from this major heist. Many believe Cooper did not survive this deadly jump, as there is no definitive proof that he lived or died. The conditions that night were extremely dangerous. It was dark, stormy, and raining heavily. Cooper was not dressed appropriately for such weather, and appeared to have jumped from the plane without knowing the exact landing location. Even his parachute was non-steerable, making a precise landing in a specific spot impossible. This suggests he had no external coordination. Cooper's clever move was requesting 2 parachutes, which led authorities to believe he intended to take a hostage. As a result, the Federal Bureau of Investigation provided him with high-quality parachutes to ensure passenger safety. His choice of a Boeing 727 also demonstrated his aviation knowledge, as this model was used in special operations due to its rear stairway. Cooper skillfully concealed his identity. He wore sunglasses, remained calm, left minimal evidence, and reinforced the hostage scenario by asking for 4 parachutes. He even took back the initial note from Schaffner, leaving no handwriting samples except for the name on the ticket. However, his escape plan seemed flawed. He did not specify a clear route, had to change destinations, and failed to request proper equipment like boots, a helmet, or a jumpsuit. He also could have asked for higher denomination bills, which would have been easier to carry. His escape appeared more like a desperate act than a pre-planned operation. Many falsely claimed to be Cooper for fame, but upon scrutiny, none matched. The case became one of the FBI's longest and most expensive investigations, involving thousands of hours of expert work and hundreds of witness interviews, yet no definitive conclusion was reached. Finally, on January 8, 2016, after 45 years of investigation, the FBI officially announced the closure of the D.B. Cooper case, though it remains technically unsolved. This marked the end of one of the most mysterious criminal cases in American history.
Well, now this is where the story really begins. I have a crucial question for you. A question whose answer could change this entire case. If you were in my shoes and only had 60 seconds to jump out of a plane with a suitcase full of cash, what would you do? How would you disappear? Go right now to the comments section and write down your escape plan. I personally read all the comments, and in future videos, I'll highlight the best and most creative escape plans and name that person detective of the week. But wait, to see and vote on other people's escape plans, you need to be part of this detective community. Hitting the subscribe button and turning on notifications is exactly how you join this secret club. That's how we know you're in the game. If you think your escape plan is good enough to be seen, fill your Instagram or Telegram story with a highlight of your plan from this video and tag me. I'll share the best stories on my social media page. So here's what we're waiting for: a like to power up this mission, a comment to submit your escape strategy, a subscription to join the club, and a share to show it to everyone. Don't forget, every theory is a clue. Begin your mission.